Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
Um, to quote Jim Curtin, you're not good.
Just not good.
Nah,
I mean,
could
it
be
was
better. It could be better.
it was an interesting night. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Aside from the game, I mean, I had fun in the before and
Oh,
after.
we had blast.
Yeah.
I mean, the game.
And moments during the game were fun.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of good. As bleak as it looks right now, that I still had a wonderful time hanging out with everybody.
Yeah.
It was a good night. And I think that's one thing that's being left by the wayside is yeah, the team's not doing well right now, but at the same time, like I told a couple people at the end of the game, there's still hope. This team is way too talented.
Hmm.
I get everything that people are saying, but yeah, right now that last night sucked.
It
And
did.
as a fan and as somebody's covering the team, it sucked. But the old analogy, when you're going through hell, just keep going. Things will get better.
Yeah.
Does that mean the Union are going to win the MLS Cup this year? I'm not going that far at this point. I mean, right now, there's some things that I don't want to put into the universe, but
Hmm.
we'll see. But
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, you're not a 5 for 5. Then I mean, listen, if you people have been lifelong Philadelphia sports fans like I have, you're no stranger to suffering the highs and the lows. So, yeah. But as I was saying, I've already been through a clap
yes.
of the Eagles this year. I don't need that again. I need the Union to fight and get back in this. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on because like I say I'm a Timberwolves fan.
I'm
But
actually rooting for them now
they got
because
blown out the other night. So
mm,
we're not when things look good, it gets bad real quick. But anyway, so on today's show, we're going to discuss the Meet the Team night.
yes.
Of course, we had a fun time there. We're going to
Mhm.
discuss Cavan Sullivan getting added to the first team roster. That was a really interesting day, and just some of the things we want to discuss with that. And then we'll discuss our time, of course, yesterday. The Union played Orlando City to a 3-2 loss, and we're gonna get into that a little bit. So, but before we get started, what are we wearing today?
I am wearing the brand new shirt that you got me yesterday
Yes.
and from the team store. So since you were in the stands yesterday and you went in the team store and got me something. So it is um this white shirt with the navy blue sleeves and has Union, like it has like sparkly lettering. So I like it. It's really cute. V-neck. Yeah,
And I am wearing the Mikel Ua t-shirt.
that's timely.
It is timely. I mean, he scores a goal. I'm gonna wear his t-shirt. Why not? Let's keep that streak going. But
Yes.
anyway, before we get started, where can people find us?
So you can find us on all your major podcasting platforms as well as on social media. We're on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I still can't bring myself to call it X. We're on there at TOTWAG. Um, our personal accounts, I'm silly double underscore Jilly. Kyle, you're at Coach Almany.
Hmm.
And we're also on Instagram and Facebook at the One Team We Agree On. You can find us on YouTube at the One Team We Agree On. And we have our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com.
Yeah, and we had some articles posted this past week. We got probably have some stuff coming up this week, I imagine.
Yes.
Um, so it'll probably be a recap or just some things, but we do have a lot going on this week, and we'll talk about that later. But let's get into the Meet the Team night. So, as part of our season ticket package, and anybody that is a season ticket member knows, um, annually they do a Meet the Team event.
Yep.
This is our what second now we're doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
second. Um, we did last year was at Live Casino there by the stadiums,
Yep.
and this year it was at Subaru Park. Now, the funny thing I remember was when it came out and was announced it was going to be at Union Yards, and
Yeah.
then they moved it into the stadium.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking back at the announcement, it was like it was going to be at Union Yards, and I think they realized it would probably be too many people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it was a lot of people.
It
So
really, really was.
yeah.
So
So last year, I know it being at Live Casino, I mean, it was a really long line, but you know, everyone was set up just kind of in one circle. This was a different concept.
no, this was, and we got there early because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought I saw like how they were doing it, and I just thought it'd be like so just the way it was. I was like, let's get in and we'll navigate how the map was. And I do appreciate the fact that they gave us a map
Yeah,
early
that was
on,
helpful.
like, hey, you want to meet this player?
You could
They're going
plan
to
it
be
out.
here. So when we got there early, we were probably like 20, 30 people from the front.
Yeah, we got there right around 5. We got there like an hour and a half before they were letting us in.
Yeah, and we were chatting with our friends Mike, Elvia, and Ptolemy was
Mm-hmm.
there. So everybody was just kind of hanging out, chatting. They left us in 15 minutes early, so I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, and they also had the team store open. They had that open before the event too, so you could go in, and that helped pass the time a little bit too. So went and
Yeah, I
scoped
went
that
and
out.
checked some stuff out. We all did, and Union Yards was open early on. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I liked that part, how they had things that you could do. It was even kind of cool. You could see like some of the academy kids practicing having
Hmm.
games. So there's a lot going on. It was a cool night. Um, they let us in, and the first thing they said was, Andre Blake is not here tonight.
Yes. Cue the speculation.
Cue the speculation, because as soon as we tweeted that, oh man, we got some comments back, like it's ominous and all that.
Right.
And
It's like, no, he had a family emergency
yeah,
apparently.
he had a family emergency, everybody. So if you did not hear that, there was a family emergency.
And for the record, and not to jump too far ahead, but I mean, I saw Andre in the mix zone last night, like after the game. He
Yeah.
was with the team. Like he was watching the game, in the owner's suite area. So
So if anybody's thinking he's just holding out, no, that's not
now
happening.
he's
He
still injured and
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a family emergency. Things happen.
Yeah.
So we get in, check in, and then they had you go to the left, you go to the right. We saw Bueno, Carranza, and Martinez kind of had a table. There was already a line. So we kind of thought, like, let's get Gazdag, Ua, Makanya, Nagaba,
Zella.
and Jack. Let's go back there, thinking, okay, people are going to go to the front.
It's like our Hershey Park
Yeah,
strategy. We go to the
the
back of
back
the
of the
park
park and then
first,
work our way around.
right?
And so we get to the back, not a lot of people there. We kind of got right in
Yeah.
and got the signatures, and then
Considering there's a bunch of them right there too, that was helpful.
and we met with Rachel Gray
Yeah.
from Sons of Ben.
Yeah, so Sun
They
yeah.
had their little tent there set up with some merch. Rachel and I think it was her mom were
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
and they kind of hung out with Mike, Elvia, and I, and you,
Yeah.
and we kind of just started navigating. So we went and
Yeah.
did them
Oh, and
first.
BR was there too, by the way. Yes, BR was at the event. So, everyone's favorite SOB cat. And yeah, so we went back to the Tunnel Club to
Yeah,
see those players. And
and I got to meet Oliver,
we
and
did. Yes.
I asked him a really interesting question. I
Yeah.
said, "So coming from USL to MLS, what was the biggest adjustment?" Now, the first thing in my head is the talent gap,
Yeah.
but he even said it point blank, and you were there. He said the talent gap is light years away, even though I knew it was going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
It was a bigger jump than I thought, and that just goes back to show people are like, "Oh, USL can compete," and it's like, this was a guy that was, like, probably the best rookie goalkeeper last year in USL, and he's like, "Yo, that jump is huge."
Mm-hmm.
The other interesting thing he told us was the travel. He
Yeah.
actually you hear the players in MLS say, "Oh, man, travel's brutal," and it is. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. I mean, you're going coast to coast compared to other leagues in the world. But what he said was, it's just brutal because it's charter or buses long. It's the minor leagues basically. I mean, these
Yeah.
teams don't have the budget. So it was interesting just to hear those two things. And he was very nice.
He was.
I felt bad because blunder from Kyle here. This is so Kyle. Jack had already signed my thing. I'm like, hey Jack, could you sign my thing? He's like, I already signed it. I'm like, I'm so sorry. He just chuckled. He's like, it's all good, man. It's all
Mm-hmm.
good. So shout out to Jack, man. Sorry about that. But
Yeah, so we had all those guys there, and that was the first time I because we've been to open practices and meet the team. So it was nice to see some of the new players like Oliver, like, Makanya and Gabo, those guys in there.
McConaughey was so nice.
He was very polite. And that's the vibe I've gotten.
It is, and then we went upstairs,
Yep.
and we kinda went through the level below the media access where the suites are, and there
Right.
was, like, Kai, Leon, Rafa, and Dono.
Yeah, and it was like 1,000 degrees in there. It was actually a really warm night. So we got Rafa and Donovan there, and the line was pretty short for them. And then the line for Kai and Leon was not ridiculous, but it was, starting to get a little bit long. But it got so hot that, well, they actually, as we were in line, they moved them out to that deck outside.
And
Um,
who moved the table?
Kai and Leon. Yeah.
Yep.
They moved their own table.
Yep, they moved their
No,
table.
but so they moved out there and it was much better. And so got to get stuff signed. And yeah, we just kind of chatted, and I was just saying to Leon, it's really good to have you back. And he's like, it's really good to be back. And so
No, and
mm,
that was good, so we were making really good time, and we were like, "Alright,
yeah.
let's go over and see," like, a lot of them were in the Premier Club,
Yeah.
so we were like, "Okay, we'll get over there," and that is where we hit the line.
And quite the line it was. So we go in there and we're like, okay, we see that there's a bunch of players in there, Bedoya, Glassness, like Bizo, Low, some of the younger guys too were in there.
The funny thing was we go in there, and they're like I'm like, "Is this a line for, like, everybody?" They're like, "No, this is a Glesnes Bedoya line."
Yeah. And they
It went
had, yeah,
up, down.
it was snaked all through this. So if you've never been, I mean, it's pretty long, but it was like, yeah, several rows. And then, so we get in line, and then we asked, what about the Bizo and low line? They're like, oh, there's like a really short
And it really
line there.
was, we, like,
So
went
we
up
we
there.
jumped in the line, like a couple of us went over to Bizo and Low. Oh, wasn't there was a couple others over there.
Marcus Anderson
Marcus
and
Sanderson,
Isaiah LaFleur.
Isaiah LaFleur. We had an
He was
Isaiah
there.
LaFleur sighting.
Isaiah LaFleur is here in Philadelphia,
Yeah,
folks.
so so yes, I actually saw him. And so we got those things signed, and then we swapped places with our friends. So we could hold our spot in the line and keep that working. That's kind of worked well for us to divide and conquer, because I know a lot of people did not get many signatures because the lines were so long and they maybe didn't get in as early as we did. So
And then
th-
you guys went down
yeah.
and saw
Yeah,
Jack.
so Rachel and I, we went downstairs, we scoped out the lines. There was Quinn and Harriel, they had a pretty long line, and then we saw Jack McGlynn and Holden Trent. They were down by those guys were down by like the gates. So we hopped in the Jack McGlynn line, and then near them were Ty Baribo and Mir Badesio.
Yeah,
And their line was pretty short, but at the same time, we were worried. We were like, they were actually saying we were going to get cut off
yeah.
from that line. We're like, oh my goodness. So we thankfully, it was moving. They're moving along. So did that. Had to get a picture with Jack because, so yeah, so got that. And, but yeah, I regret that I didn't get quickly, because we were getting in there and you were acting like you were about to be up to Jacob
So here's what happened.
and
All of a
Allie.
sudden, people so just so you know, there was a couple people started moving out,
Yeah.
so they were, like, trying to get to other players.
Yeah.
So what happened was we were kinda just sitting there, and it was like no one was moving,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Okay, we're turning the corner."
Yeah.
And so now we're on the line going down to
Mhm.
actually meet him. And all of a sudden, people started kind of going down like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to try to get other players.
Yeah.
So from like probably like a minute span, we moved up halfway.
Uh-huh.
And then the line kind of moving. And what I saw was the guy was in front was like, oh, would you like to meet the homegrowns, Pariana,
Yeah.
Vasquez, and Rick?
Yeah.
And so they were kind of dividing and conquering that, which
Yeah.
they probably should have done rather than just doing the line because Allie and Jacob were taking a lot of pictures with everybody, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's what this event's for. But it was kind of just like they started moving them around.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, okay, if this is going to keep moving and people
Yeah.
keep jumping, you guys might get up. So that's
Yeah.
why I texted you.
Yeah, so Rachel and I booked it upstairs, and we otherwise would have gone and gotten Ty and Verdesio as well.
Hindsight being 2020, I probably should have said you got like it was like what, a 10-minute wait from there, so you probably could have gotten them.
Yeah, because literally there was maybe 10 people, if that, in the
Yeah,
other line.
yeah.
So anyway, we went upstairs, got we got all those guys then. Um and and that was nice. And we actually talked to the homegrowns a little bit there, and Andrew Rick and Vasquez, like those guys just got called up, and
They just signed.
yeah, they just signed. So, and it was funny because we were talking about the U2 games, the Bridge Brigade and the hugs and all that stuff.
And what does,
Oh, and I said to Andrew Rick, I said, the Brigade guys will appreciate. What, uh, I said, what is tree in Spanish? He's
and he answered it,
like,
and he was like I was like, "So do you really enjoy?" Because I see out there, because we've been to a couple U2 games where, like, they'll just start making these comments, and you'll just see him start dying.
mm-hmm.
And he just smiled, he goes, "I love it. It's so fun." And, like, I was asking David what his favorite hug was. I'm like, "David likes the blue hugs." And, I think it said purple, but then Kyle the babe shout out to him yesterday, it's like, everybody loves but he's like, "I love the hugs." He's like, "I
Oh
love
yeah,
it."
they,
And he's, like, sitting there, like, shaking his head like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I love the hugs." So
yeah,
shout out to you guys. They really do appreciate it. And even Periana was like laughing about it as well. Like
yeah, they
they're having a good
appreciate it.
time.
Yeah, and hey, keeps it fun.
And so then after we got like all those guys out of the
Yeah,
way and Jacob signed, we went down. They were starting to close off, and you could tell. But then we saw Quinn, and we're like, let's just try get in with Quinn Harrell. We
yep,
did it. It
yep.
was past 8:30 at that point, and they were still signing. When we walked
Mhm.
out, we saw Jose.
Yeah, the line for Julian and Brujo and Choo Choo was really long. So unfortunately we didn't get them. So really we only missed like I only missed five.
So
So, but I was really bummed because the line really wasn't that bad for those guys when we came in, but I was worried we were gonna, I didn't realize how long those lines were gonna get. Like the line for Julian and those guys, they were stationed by the Union store, and the line was all the way down past the media stairs, like all the way down there to that
yeah,
entrance.
and that's the thing, like, people were saying, like, they got, like, maybe a couple people at the beginning, but they
Mhm.
couldn't even get in the tunnel club.
Yeah,
The tunnel club was, like, loaded,
yeah.
like, even worse. So,
I'm glad we got that one
yeah,
first,
that was kinda
honestly.
where we wanted to go. So
Uh,
overall experiences, I had a blast, and I think everybody did. My my 2 cents is what they should have done is they should just done a line, like, straight down, maybe
yeah,
start right at the entrance, not down the other side,
yeah,
and going right down, maybe had a couple tables down
yeah.
right into the tunnel club, and then just funnel them back out.
Yeah, it could have just been like, you go in this loop.
Yeah,
But I mean, I get it if you're trying to get certain players,
and I
maybe,
do appreciate that.
but some lines were ridiculously long while others were short. But I mean, I like that it was at Subaru Park. That's
I do.
nice. And that they had things like Union Yards being open. That was nice. And we picked up our we can talk about this, but we picked up our season ticket member gifts finally.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did because the line was ridiculous for that at the stadium last night. So, um, so yeah, I think they can organize it better moving forward. Like the concept was good. I heard a lot of feedback. I asked people for feedback for that. I know a lot of people, and I saw on things like Reddit and everything, people complaining and on Facebook, as they are wont to do on these social media places. But uh a big thing was there was actually constructive feedback though. People are like,
There
it
was.
was, not a bad idea, except it was a lot of people complained it was hot and then there's like no water. I mean, I was dying. I went to
Yeah.
a water fountain, and like it was just really hot in some of the places too. But I think some people are saying like if you had different times, like if
Well,
you're
even
these like last names, this and this come to this
well,
time.
even Rachel had brought up that I guess Red Bulls does like a
Right.
meet
They
the
do two
team
nights.
for like the supporter group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
not
would
meet the
love that.
supporters, meet the team. I think like maybe if
Yeah.
you're in Sons of Ben, Keystone, like whatever supporter group, and you
Yeah.
have season tickets, like, maybe do, like, that kind of event?
That's a perk for our supporter group that costs nothing, basically.
Right.
Like, that would be wonderful.
I agree with that, like a supporter night, then, like, a season ticket night. And let's
Yeah.
say on that supporter night, the benefit there is, like, maybe you miss some people,
Mhm.
you could still go to the season
Right.
ticket night and maybe catch 2 or 3 guys that you missed,
Yeah.
but also for the season ticket members, now the line's not as long. Instead of
Yeah.
cutting down maybe 1,000 people or even more,
Yeah.
I know we have more than 2,000, you know what I'm saying, but I think that there are options is what we're getting at.
Yeah, so absolutely, and I don't think 2 hours because it was scheduled 6:30, 8:30. 2 hours was definitely not enough time for people to get around that, and that was a big complaint, and I heard that some of the players, they were sticking around to, like, 9. I also heard, like, Damian Lowe bounced, like, early too, like, some
Yeah.
but so, again, I appreciate the union putting that on. I think it's really nice that they do that. I just think moving forward, it could be reorganized a little bit, for sure. Do we wanna share our season
Yeah,
ticket member stuff?
yeah, so
Okay.
we got this.
So a lot of people are complaining that, you got 1 blanket per seat, or I mean, 1 blanket per account for season ticket members. Each seat, you got the scarf, which, has season ticket member on the one side, and it has union logo on the other with snake scales.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's a
yeah.
nice design there.
Yeah, I
It's a
like the
real
snake
thin
scales on it.
summer scarf, though.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
that's
not
not
bad.
bad. And then similar design with the blanket. I think the blanket's really nice. Just in
It
time
is.
for it to not be cold anymore, although could have used it last night
Yeah,
for sure.
it's a nice. I saw some people with it.
Yeah, so it did come in handy at least because the weather is so unpredictable in the spring. So we had that. And then here's what I got signed. Um, so I got the team photo that was given out at
Mhm.
the Art of Dupe event. So I'm like going around with just the picture frame, like the white
Yeah.
frame, around. I'm like, can you sign my frame? But so I thought that was good. And I got, like I said, almost all of them. Hopefully at an open practice or something, I can maybe get the ones that are missing. But at least I'm really glad I got most, and they are kind of distributed around there. And shout out to um Caden and Chad Wolf for giving me that picture. Also
Also,
I had, and I also got a bandana signed.
yep.
So thanks to Rachel for giving us some bandanas from the Sons of Ben. And Kyle, you got
Scarf.
the rally towel here
Yep.
signed. So
Yep. Those
and
right on.
and it's funny because the players really appreciate the the ease of signing the bandanas. Like, this material, really nice sign. So just heads up, when
Yep.
you're going to these kind of things.
And
Towels and jerseys are harder for them to sign.
yeah, and don't forget the last thing.
Yeah, and also we did get Jacob to sign his face.
Yeah. So now we have Mikkel and Jacob with the
Yeah.
same face.
We have a Julian and
I'm thinking of putting them in the backdrop somewhere back
yeah.
here. So
We have a Julian and a Martinez face too, but obviously we didn't get to them, but is
so
what it is.
So yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I would recommend people checking that out. So let's move on now.
So big news
Big
happened this
news.
week.
Yeah, so we had talked about before, rumors coming out that
Mhm.
Cavan Sullivan was going to get signed to the first team. We kind of, I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes back.
Mhm.
But yeah, Union on Thursday made it official. Um, Kevin Sullivan signs a homegrown deal. He's the youngest signing in club history and the 5th youngest player to sign an MLS contract in league history. Um, Tom Bogert reported that Sullivan's record-breaking homegrown deal is just north of 500K now, per season when it averages out. Now, it'll be like they start him out low and then he builds up, over the 4 years, basically is what the report said. Um, you were on Jim's presser, I was on Ernst. Ernst, kind of just praised him, but he also kind of said, in 30 years, he's one of the top 3 best young players he's ever scouted. So there was that. And, other little note, if he debuts before July 29th, he will be the youngest player to debut in a top U.S. sports event. I like how they
Did you
word
say debut?
debut.
It's a silent T.
I know. I did say debut.
I know, it's
Debut.
funny. It's all
But
good.
no, I mean, overall, okay, cool. Cavan guy, he was a drum striker last night.
Yeah.
Um, I was on Ernst. He kind of Tom Boer kind of asked about the Manchester City dynamic, and Ernst basically no commented on it. But I mean, I think it's good to see that like some of these really highly touted academy kids are now getting added on homegrown deals.
Yeah.
And you were there for Jim's press conference. What did you hear from him?
So, it was interesting. So that had Jim, had Marlon LeBlanc, it had Cavan, and also John Shear. And so that was good. And some of the questions were directed towards Jim, towards Marlon, towards Kevin. Like they kind of, bounced around with that. And what was really um important was they're stressing how it's really helpful that Cavan's in Philly. He's home. He's going to have the family support. That's huge because this is a 14-year-old and this is a huge, huge deal. And I think about what that's like. We heard Julian Carranza talk about what it's like for him to leave home and go to Buenos Aires and 13 years old, and be on his own away from his family and everything, and how he could be lonely, and that was hard. And so he talked about that on the Dupe with Sage Hurley.
Mhm.
If you haven't seen it, also I'm way into mate now, thanks to that. But I think the support system, having his brothers, his dad, his mom, all of them there, and being at home, that's huge.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Until he's 18,
Mhm.
he's gonna be at home.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
gonna
yeah. And another thing Jim said, not to interrupt you, but um, another thing that, of course, people are wondering, oh, when is Cavan going to play and everything? And Jim made it very clear that it'll be on merit, the
Mhm.
when it's the right time,
Now, I did also add it'll be sooner rather than later.
right?
But that being said, I mean, people saying, "Well, is Kevin gonna start this year?" Uh, Here's my thought because of that July 29th date. Um, I could see a situation kinda like Ty Barber last year that Kevin's on the bench, right?
Yeah,
And it's like middle of July, maybe it's Leagues Cup,
right.
and he just gets a run in at like 90 plus one if the Union aren't chasing or, something like
Come in
that.
for like 10 seconds.
Coming in for 10 seconds, there's his debut, get him off.
Right.
But in all seriousness, I don't know how you feel. I like this only from the standpoint. I know I saw some comments, oh, we're gonna sign all these homegrown kids, but we're not gonna sign big people that come in and immediately impact the first team. I get that. I get that
Mhm.
100%. No one's complaining of that because, again, and we'll get to it. I mean, Ernst's track record on recent signings, even people they've brought in, they just haven't made the impact yet. And
Yeah.
hey, that's a fair criticism. That's a very fair criticism. But that aside, I really like this because we've seen some of the other academy kids move on, not even ever play for the first team.
Right.
Some have, some haven't. But, for a talent like this, not to go before the time and the union actually to get some money for him,
This is win-win,
this is a
honestly.
win-win.
Yeah, because he could he do really great things before he's 18 and moves on? Absolutely. We saw Jack McGlynn make an
Yeah.
impact as like a 17-year-old in
Right.
playoffs.
Right.
I'll never
Right.
forget that PK that he did against Nashville. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, he definitely is a big talent, and I think him being able to be around these first teamers and really get that experience, that's gonna be something, so
Yeah, I'm
but
excited to see his development. But again,
yeah,
let's pump the expectations that he's gonna come in right away and
yeah,
make this huge impact. Because again,
right.
he's 14,
He is 14, and I work with
playing
kids
against
that
grown
age
men.
all day long, so I know, but he does seem very grounded,
Yes.
very humble, so, like, very level-headed, so that I think is really big.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into the main topic of the week here. Let's discuss the game against Orlando City this yesterday. So um we got there, good tailgate, but you were in the press box last night. I was down with our buddy Dave,
Yep.
who joined us for his second Union game. Again, had a great time. So good crowd on hand
It
early
was a
on.
good crowd. It was a good crowd at the tailgate, and Sons of Ben tailgate was hopping pretty good. Union Yards picked up eventually. It was a little slow at the beginning.
Yeah, so when we went back to, because Dave's never seen a march, we wanted to
Yeah.
go back and show him, and he watched it. It was packed, and everybody was watching it, like you've said before, when I've gone up early for the
Mhm.
press box. It was packed on the
Mhm.
Union Yard side, and everybody was watching.
I know,
So
Sage did the chalk talk with Sebastian Letou
yeah,
because Dave Leno was away, at the ACC track championships in Georgia. Um, so Seba and Sage did that, and I know that's been good, and I didn't see because 'cause I'd head up to the press box, but
mhm.
we also went, yeah, well, we can yeah, talk about the tailgate. I thought it was real good. We have some pictures from that.
Yeah, so let's share some of those pictures right now.
And of course, it was windy and it wasn't raining at the time, but it was, of course, in typical style, it was raining and or not raining later, but it was a little windy and cold, but it wasn't too bad. And of course, always have to see our buddy BR, the
Yep,
cat. So
chilling out.
BR is just chilling. She's just like, I can't believe how chill she is. Our cats could never.
No, they would not. And then there's that, and then
Shout
this
out to
Fred.
Fred. This mint pie was phenomenal. I saw his posts on, like, Instagram or whatever, and as someone who teaches cooking and everything and likes baking, I was like, "I need the recipe," but it was phenomenal. So, shout out there.
And then the Squirrel Squad.
Yeah, so we we all got these shirts,
Except Todd, he had to get the light blue.
okay, and we all play Pokemon Go, like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but yeah, Todd had to be different and get the light blue. But so yeah, it's the Squirtle Squad, but if it has the Squirtles have Union shirts on and a little flag that they have has the Union thing
It
on
was
it.
so funny, even during the tailgate, people were like, "Oh my gosh, like, that shirt's amazing." So,
Yeah, so that was fun. So we got that picture.
and
Yep.
then,
And at
yeah,
the tailgate, we saw our good friend Kim McGlynn, Jack's mom.
yeah,
So she was there and, also with her mother, so Jack's grandma was there
yeah,
as well. So it was really nice to see them. Kim's great, and,
and we
so
got to walk up to the stadium with them and chat a little bit,
yeah,
and we were talking about Jack's banger at, DC and,
yeah,
the comments he was
hmm,
making. It just, Kim, shout out to you, just coming, showing up, it's awesome.
yeah, yeah, so,
That was
um,
nice.
that was.
And then, we went to the, dog adoption they were doing.
Yeah, so they did this last year in May, and I think that's great. They always do have some rescue dogs under the tent there at the plaza, but they've been doing this like large scale event where they have a bunch of rescues. They had over 40 dogs, I think is what they said. So you would fill out a waiver and then you just do it on the phone and then show it to them and you go in. So we saw a bunch of pups there and they're so cute. And this happens to be all in the blue jacket sitting down there, that's, Jenny Wagner, Kai's wife, and then
Yep.
their son, there, so they were petting the dogs, um, and got some pictures of some of the dogs, and I'm more of, like, a big dog person for sure. I was loving the big dogs. I had dogs growing up. We have cats now, but I we always had rescue dogs, and so I appreciate this, and, that's me. I
Uh,
as soon as I saw the huskies and, like, the
yeah, we both ran the
oh, I
Huskies.
love the
Yes.
huskies. So beautiful dogs. I had a husky shepherd mix growing up. So, and they had one there. So, and that's a
Uh,
Alaskan Malamute,
that's
which
a big
that's a
dog.
sled dog right there.
This is a beautiful
It was
dog.
so friendly and it just looks so happy.
It was, and that was a cool event, got to see the dogs.
Yeah.
Um, so there were some hospice dogs,
Hmm.
dogs just looking for good homes. There was 2 dogs that are big, our cats were bigger than.
Yeah, there were some little ones.
Yeah, but they
So
were very and they were really feisty, but
yeah, so definitely check out we retweeted on our
yeah.
social media about the rescue. So, and the union had posted it. So if you're interested, definitely check that out.
Yeah, and just one last thing, so after you went up with Todd and then we went back, again to watch the march, we ran into our, guest of the show, um, Tim Furlong. He
Yeah.
was on and got to meet him and his son, chat a little bit about, he told us that he was on, I forget which season of We Are Wrexham, and he was there, I guess, when Rob was in the Eagles game. So somebody's like, yeah, I know exactly what season. We're gonna check it out again.
Yeah, I do need to watch it. I haven't
I,
watched it.
I need to give this a chance because he really sold it. So Tim, if you're listening, I know when we were talking, I'm like, I'm not a fan of that show. I kinda just the way you were talking, your son were talking about this show, I'm like, because
Yeah.
he's like, "You like Wrexham?" I'm like, "I'm really not an English football fan." People probably shutting us off right now. I mean, I'm more of a Serie A guy from the
I don't
Italian.
follow any European
Yeah,
soccer. Well, actually,
I
no, I
should
take that back. I follow
eh,
Kilmarnock because of Stu Finley.
right, and the only and I shouldn't even say I'm not I mean, English Premier Soccer is the best league. I watch
I
it.
mean, I'll
I
cheer for
watch it.
AC Milan because Christian
Exactly,
Pulisic, he's,
exactly.
pretty much a
That's kinda how
hometown
I
boy.
am, like
Yeah.
but everybody has their own team. I mean, I've met Bundesliga fans that are
Yeah.
like think Bundesliga is the best league in the world, and so everybody's got their own thing. But
Yeah.
Tim, it was great chatting with you, and
And I'm
good.
sorry I missed you, Tim.
Yeah, and then we went to the store.
You got a giveaway item that
Yeah,
actually
so
too.
share the
So
giveaway item.
so yeah, I'm really, like I said, I'm really glad I didn't pay $50 to get the clear purse that they had for sale in the team store because this will suit my needs. So it's a clear purse and sponsored by one of their sponsors, Penn Medicine, which Penn Medicine, shout out to my sister Sarah, who is a nurse for Penn
And they
in that
also
system.
are a partner with the Lancaster side, the YMCA of the Roses, where
Yeah.
I'm gonna start working with them. So shout out to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So that was good. I know, like, of course, those ran out quick, apparently, just like the headbands had. But I'm glad you grabbed one of those for
Yeah,
me.
and then I got a hat. So you guys remember the skateboard here in the background, um, the t-shirt I wear, the JSP t-shirt I wear a lot on this pod. They had the hat as part of that a part of that line they had last year. Well, what was it last year? It was like $40 for
Yeah.
this hat. It was $18. And
Nice.
$18, I was looking for a new hat. Because the join or die hat, I like it, but it's nice to have a little rotation. And I
That's
and I
nice.
like this. This was actually really comfortable.
Nice.
This is a really comfortable hat. So $18, you're looking for something a little different than just a union hat that's still union. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of hats, no, just an observation at the game, the tailgate and stuff. I've seen a lot of people wearing the Phillies City Connect hats.
They
They
are.
work perfectly for Union games too. I wore it to the Union 2 game because I got one. So I've seen a lot of the City Connect jerseys too. So yeah, they do work well for Union games. So anyway,
So let's get into the game. I
yes.
mean, you're up in the press box. I'm down in the river end. I walk up and, we're having fun, joking around, but, this is a game. Union come out, and, right off the bat, boom, they get a goal, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, once again."
Yeah.
So I have to share a story. It's Ua. So I was like, "Okay, this is nice. Great play pass by Harriel to get it with the ball, puts it in the back, and that's 1-0. And our buddy Doug turns to me and goes, "Welcome back." And he goes, "And I know you're laughing right now because it's Ua." I'm like, "Hey," I was just kind of like, "Hey, good for Ua. He really needed that."
Oh, and after Ua scored and we had that good strong start, I'm sorry if I jinxed it because I turned to Skylar and Todd. I'm like, well, if we win this, then I'm probably not gonna be allowed back in 136.
Yeah, you jinxed it. So, but I will say early on in the match, I mean, Ua scores a goal, and then he has that nice hold up play in the box, like they're biting him. Basically, guys like grabbing onto him. Ua's kind of got his back, and he kind of takes it on the inside of his foot right to Danny, who misses the shot. Well, I think it might have been saved, but like just a
Yeah.
great heads up play. He was off to a strong start, and overall, I thought Ua was fine on the night. We'll get to that one miss he had there late in the game, but
Yeah, that first goal was great.
so,
Mm.
and I even said to somebody there, I was like, the Union this year are 2 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses when they score first. This is what you want. Jim says it all the time. We are a team built to play ahead. And what happened?
We conceded
How many times did we concede?
3 times.
3 times the Union conceded,
3
and
unanswered goals.
3 unanswered goals. And so, misfires and miscues is the name
Yes.
of the game. 3 unanswered goals. You didn't go into
And
halftime.
we had chances. That's the frustrating thing too. We had chances.
We did. I mean, there's a world where I think hypothetically that first goal, okay, you give that, even though Jim said the ball should have been spotted 15 yards down the
Yeah, he
field.
did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I get that. I think we were chanting that in the river end, like, whoa, that's a generous spot, and boom, Low gets cooked on that header by McGuire, and it's 1-0. Nothing Semla could do.
You
And
mean 1-1.
I mean, yeah, 1-1. Anyway, and then Martinez, right before half, coughs it up on a bad pass.
Yep.
They go right down, open, nobody defending, boom, back in the net. Another strike outside the box.
And that's twice now. Martinez is
Martinez,
messed up.
low on the night, just are not sharp, and they're really costing. And there's these, how should I say it? It's not like, and I've seen some people saying, and I even kind of said it on the way out, like at halftime, like, man, we're sucking right now, and we are.
Yeah.
We're playing bad,
Yeah.
but it's not like the team's still putting the ball in the back of the net.
We are. And that's
And
the thing.
and
We've been
and
scoring.
and Kai and Nate are playing really good soccer, and
Yeah.
Jim brought that up too. We're
Mhm.
playing great individualized soccer.
Kai, Nate, Jack McGlynn. Like,
Even Jack Elliott's
Jack
come on, and there are these individual standouts.
right. And that's what Jim was saying in the press conference.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because he talks about them coming out flat, and I want to bring this up. There's this narrative that, well, what's going on? Who's not performing? Jim says, look, I'm going to take this right on the head. It's on me. And that's what as a head coach, that's what you do. You don't sit there and say, oh, well, it was X, Y, and Z. It was player B.
Yeah. He's not throwing his players under the bus.
Why would you? Yes, maybe, I guarantee you they're having private conversations.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, yes, he's come out and said things like, when when Ua was asked about last season, it's like not good, or about, this form not being good. But he's not going to say, oh, this player, he was not good on the night. He was blah 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 blah. Like, they were really pushing to get Jim to
Yeah,
point
and
fingers.
that was just kind of now listening to the press conference again. I get it.
Mhm.
They wanted that hot clip for the article of like, oh, so and so, Jim called so and so out. So credit to Jim for not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Lowe and Martinez on the night were not good. They were not good at all. And so, I mean, so second half comes in, it's 2-1.
Barely sat down and boom.
And literally, we're walking up when that second goal
Yeah.
walked in. I turned around to Dave. I said, "What was that?" And then somebody said, I saw the replay. I'm like, "Oh, that was piss poor."
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but you can't just open up, down 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see Union coming back.
Yeah.
And so second half, I will give the Union credit. Again, they were fighting. It wasn't like, okay, we're down 3-1. All right, let's move on. No, they tried to get back into it, and they had the opportunities.
We had 61% possession in this game.
We had more shots, more
We had more,
XG,
yeah.
which
Now, of course,
XG, I don't.
and you know what Jim says about possession. Possession without penetration is useless.
Well, it was useless. So let's talk a little bit about the chances. I mean, there is a world the Union could have walked away with a 4-3 win.
Absolutely. Quinn's disallowed goal
There
for
was
errant
that.
offsides. Well, Danny goes and makes the PK, so we're only down by 1 at that
And then
point.
he gets another PK.
And he gets another PK. It's like a gift. It's a gift. And the fact that we almost look like, well, we didn't think it was a red card, but it looked for a moment that Damien was going to get sent off, but
Yeah.
but anyway, so we'll talk about that
I'll
then.
talk about that in a second.
Yeah, but so we get another PK, and my thought process was like, crap, like this goalie might actually save this because he might predict better what to do. Or
He's a decent
and that's what
goalkeeper.
happened.
Well, the problem is Yossi goes to the left a lot. If you watch his
Yeah.
PKs, I kind of did earlier when he
Yeah.
does PKs, he tends to favor center or left.
Hmm.
Danny takes him down the center in the first one. You know he's good. Danny likes. You look at what Danny does. He likes to skip people,
Yeah.
and Danny does go to the left a lot. I mean, it's a PK. I mean, credit. It was a nice. He read it right.
Yeah.
But again, he went left the first. I mean, left, right. I'm saying it. He went left. He went left the first time. Why are you going left? Why are you going left?
Yeah. I was surprised at that. I mean, it was
It,
quite the streak for Danny, that's
yeah, and
for
that
sure.
streak is over. So
But man, would that have been timely? Because that would have tied it up, and we'd be maybe having quite the different conversation
we
today.
would. But then also, Ua had that 1v1 on him,
Yeah.
and he tried to chip him. I will give him credit.
Yeah.
He tried to chip it.
Yeah.
Probably could have gotten a little higher. Didn't try to just blast it like he sometimes does right into person, the
Yeah.
keeper. But I mean, those were two missed opportunities right there.
Jacob missed a couple.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is Orlando City was playing a low block the whole game.
Mhm.
They were giving the Union so much space outside the 18. I think I was talking to Scott. He said like Danny had like 3 or 4 opportunities, and we were talking about it in River End, and they weren't taking them. They were trying to get the ball in the box, and
Mhm.
I mean, again, last year the Union were taking shots
Yeah.
outside the box. Like
Yeah.
I get it. That's how they play. Their
Yeah.
head coach even said the Union are direct. So, and I'm sorry I'm ranting here, but I just want to get your thoughts. But I mean, right now, just you gotta take what the teams are giving you.
Yeah. So it's just so frustrating because it was their thing. And then we end up with 15 minutes of stoppage time.
Let's talk about the low thing real
Let's
quick
talk about that.
because we saw it right where
It was right in front of it happened right in front of me.
our buddy Eric was like just screaming that was ball, and we were all saying ball,
Yeah.
ball. So
Yeah. So Damien, yeah, a few things to talk about with Damien. So first of all,
yeah, he did.
yeah, he did get ball, and thankfully VAR, what came out, and I mean VAR helped us in this situation because it was correctly called that he got ball, no dog, so no red card, not being sent off, and Damien, he knew too. He said when got comments from him post game, he knew that it wasn't a red card, and he was just waiting for it to be checked. And so
He said he even told the ref, he's like, you need to go check that.
yeah. And yeah, so he did. And then so later on then, and um it was Muriel. Muriel totally flopped. Like,
Mhm.
so Damien didn't even touch him. And Muriel just like flopped to the ground. And
We all were laughing, by
yeah.
the way. I
Yeah.
was dying when he was doing that little jig
And
he did.
then Damien did this little dance. That was like right in front of me,
I'm
and I thought it
dying.
was so funny.
I was dying. That was
And
so
then
funny.
and then Damien got a yellow card. It's like so dumb. And then Damien in his post game comments, which if you haven't seen it, I did share it on Twitter. So Damien basically said that Muriel's a clown. I didn't even touch him,
You also
basically.
tried to share it on Facebook.
Yes, I tried to share it on Facebook. Okay. So if you're one of the admins for the Facebook group, the union Facebook group, I'm calling you out. Okay.
Oh no.
So anyway.
No, it just is why you tried to share that with some people because there's some good comments.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Anyway.
no, I think the one thing I will say towards that last 15 minutes, man, Orlando City, man, I thought it was a swim meet because I saw so much diving going on in that pool.
Oh,
Diving, flip
oh
flopping.
my gosh. Yes.
It was funny, but I mean, to flip the side, I mean, Union get the lead. They're leading late. They're sitting on the ball. They're
Yeah.
sitting there doing all that stuff too. I mean,
Mm.
it's soccer, but I mean, Union had chances and
15 minutes of stoppage
they were
time.
going to get a goal. We
And
saw
honest,
Ty Baribo.
so
Baribo.
yeah. So I had joked, I'm like, Yeah, maybe Ty will get in. Jim had said in his presser on Friday that we might get some minutes from Ty. And I'm like, yeah, he'll get in like 90 plus 1 or something. He ended up getting a 90 plus 9. So he was in for several minutes, and when he came running over, took the penny off and went over to check in, everyone just started cheering. And
So what'd you
yeah,
think of him?
I didn't think he played terribly.
Yeah, he was fine. I
I
mean,
mean,
it really wasn't a factor, but
no, and I know I had said this to Skylar and Todd and the guys up in the press box. I was like, wouldn't it be poetic if Ty scored and got us the tie, and or a game winner? But like I know some other people said that too.
so
But
we're joking. We're like, he's gonna come in and have a brace. He's
right.
gonna have 2 goals here in 10 minutes, and then we're just all gonna be like, "Oh wow."
So did he set the world on fire? No. Did he play terrible? I didn't think so.
No,
But so it
I
was good to
mean,
see him get some in, you know.
so I mean, now that's 14 points for the Union in 11 games.
Yeah.
We know the summer transfer, not transfer, the summer window with Copa America, with all Euro Cup, all those things is coming up. Olympics,
Yeah. These were games we needed to win. We're up
exactly.
against a team that has been struggling. And just like with Seattle, here comes a team desperate for points. It's kind of a trap game. And sure enough, we lose both those games. And we've actually come out stronger against opponents that maybe we should have lost to, or maybe only had ties. So how do we manage? We beat Portland the way we did, missing players, being down the way we were away, and then we choke in our own stadium 3 games in a row. We must win on
For the
Wednesday.
first time since 2012.
12.
And shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy brought up an interesting fact, which I actually looked up again, because I guess the Union had like a 3-game home streak that year, but then they had a win against in a US Open Cup against Rochester. So, but again, it's still a 3-game uh, you know,
Who would have thought 3 home losses in a row? I mean, the way our stadium has
Union
been.
haven't lost that many games in a long, long time. I think you
Yeah.
gotta go back to like literally the streak of like the Messi game
Hmm.
and Orlando City last year. They didn't lose in 2022 at home at all. And then they lost twice in 2021. If
So,
you count
yeah.
all competitions.
Well, a comment that was made when we were up in the press box amongst some of us was, we have not won since Union Yards opened.
Shut it down, folks. That's it.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
And
Let's take it down. I'm not a fan of Union York. Just gonna say that right now. It's bad luck. No,
maybe it's karma for what we found out.
we're not gonna discuss
Yeah,
that.
anyway. But
Um,
no, in all seriousness, that place should be rocking after a game, that's for sure. And we're waiting to find out what that is like. So, because it is a nice spot to go
and
to after the games.
I have a GIF that I've been saving ever since I've had this. The Union have lost, so I might need to delete that GIF. There's a celebratory GIF.
Yeah, you're jinxing too. We're all
We're
jinxing stuff.
all jinxing everything. So
Yes. Maybe we should have not had Squirtle shirts. We should have had Jinx shirts
I need a jinx shirt right
from
now.
the Pokemon.
Um,
Anyway, so
so overall, who you thought stood out on the night?
okay, so I thought Jack McGlynn was excellent on the night.
Excellent.
I thought Nate Harriel was excellent.
Todd brought up a really good question to Jim Balhero, and of course, Jim
Mhm.
praised him again. He was excellent on that. I thought he
Yeah.
was my best.
Yeah, I thought Kai was very good as well.
Kai was solid. I mean,
Kai's been consistently solid. Like,
he's
I
been our
think,
most consistent player all
yeah,
year.
absolutely.
So,
I don't think I mean, those goals weren't all on Zemla. I think we would have,
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, he's,
you brought up an interesting topic about Semla because with all these center back pairings, Jim's talked about it.
yeah.
Like you as a goalkeeper read, talking to your center backs a lot.
Andre directs them.
Yes, so Semla being new and now all these rotations, yeah, I'm sure he does this in training all the time, but you want to get some consistency there, and I know Jim in press conferences talked about it. So I'm not blaming Jim on
I'm
this.
not ready to throw Andrew Rick in there yet either. as some would have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not ready for that yet.
I mean,
Let him get some more
I
experience
don't
than you
even
too.
know why you would even. No, I'm not gonna
Anyway,
get into it. Anyway,
some people actually want that.
I know that's
Anyway,
wild.
yeah,
Um,
that's a bold move.
that all right. We're
No,
having some fun now.
no.
Did 136 bring it last night? Well, you weren't there, but I was.
You guys sounded loud at times.
We actually were having fun up there. We were having
It was a good
fun,
time
even
at
though we were down
136.
3-1. We're like the best discussion was there was a discussion. So Kyle, learning about the union stinking right now. How you feel? I'm like, I'm still here. They're like, all right, good. I'm like, no, nothing's going to change us not going to these games. I know some people are about to bail on the union. We're not going to be. We're going
Oh,
to still stay here covering the team,
hey, I heard how
talking about the team,
yeah
promoting the team. I mean,
teams go through phases, as Damien said in the
yeah,
post
and
game
that's the other
comments.
thing. The team is like, look, we go through phases. Ooh, low. They all both said it. Like,
Mhm.
and that's again going back to what I wanted to say about hope.
There's
And
a
I
lot
think
of
it was
games left.
Andrew at the end of the night. He was like, "Man, we suck." I'm like, "Yeah, we did." But there's still hope. There's still things to get this team figured out. But man, they got to figure it out quick. And yeah, you if you want to panic right now, that's a fair point. But also remember, it's a long season. We're only in 11 games. We still got a whole bunch more to go.
Yeah.
So, um, let's wrap it up here because we've been talking now a little over an hour. Union are back Wednesday against NYCFC. Matt Freeze and Andres Pereira come back. Andres Pereira had a goal this past weekend. Um, NYCFC is playing a lot more confident after starting the season kind of slow. Matt Freeze kind of come into his own.
Are we gonna chant sucks when they call his name?
I mean,
People will.
why not?
Yeah.
Especially
He's on
after
the enemy now. But
Especially after when he was like, he made that post. Remember, he's like, "I love you, Philly," and then he's like, "I'm gonna go win some titles in New York City." To NYC, and everybody in the comments were like, "What the heck?"
the big question is his brother gonna show up in a Union jersey?
The bigger question is, will Union Killers turn Union now back to opponent Andres Pereira score a goal? Because he has scored many goals. Well, remember that year against Orlando City, he scored
Yeah.
2 goals, and we signed him
Mhm.
next year. Will he score? That's another question.
Definitely not. We need to win this
So that's my point.
in the worst way.
Union, for all this collapse, is still sitting there in ninth place. In ninth place. So they got the last playoff play-in game. You get 4 or 6 points this week. You're playing New England. I know it's on the road, but hey, the Union play
We've won in
better
New
in the
England.
road than they do at home, which is
No,
wild
yeah.
stat.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a big week for them. And I know some of the players said that too. It's like moving on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be there. And
Yep.
we'll be watching the game.
Julian will be back. We missed him this week. Yeah, we missed
So
him.
let's
Yeah.
see. Rotation. Love to see Flock and Elliott back as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim did say that Elliot would be most likely playing on Wednesday. So
Yeah, I think right now the way Lowe's been playing, I think we need to kind of go back to Gless and this Elliott for the time being, or Gless is Lowe. Maybe if there's a matchup that Jim doesn't feel confident with Jacob. But either way, also one other big announcement coming tomorrow. We're going to be interviewing a player from Union 2. So
yep.
we got another player, and I believe our buddy Jose Nunez has a player as well. He's going to
Yeah.
be interviewing tomorrow as well.
Yeah. So some things
So we
happening.
got so content creators got some stuff coming out for you guys out there. So shout out to Jose. I hope your interview goes well as well. I won't spoil who it is, but we got some good interview comments. I think we'll probably drop ours on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Um, just kind
And you can
of
listen to it on your way to the game.
exactly, and we might actually have another couple other interviews coming
We've
up
got
with
some
some.
things lined up.
Yeah, so yeah, again, not to end this on a bad note, I had a blast last night, even though they lost. It was good seeing everybody in the river end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I had good time. I being up in the press box and doing all that stuff, with Todd and Skylar and Mike and Jimmy and all those guys. So it was good to go do that.
yeah, so we'll see everybody
Yeah.
Wednesday night. And that's all for this episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yep. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave comments. We love hearing from you. And if you have any ideas for future episodes or guests, please send them our way.
Until next time, I'm Kyle saying, let's get 3 points on on Saturday, Wednesday and Saturday because we desperately need it.
Yes. And I am Jillian.
And we'll see you at the game.